Welcome to ViewTheRace.com. This is the bike course of the Mooseman International Triathlon. The bike course starts in Wellington State Park before it takes a right and heads out on West Shore Road. Now, obviously this was filmed in the winter. There should be no snow on the course on June 2nd. And this course will be refilmed in the spring. The course starts on West Shore Road, and the first couple miles are just have some slight rolling hills, or it's flat. Gives you a chance to catch your breath after the swim and settle into some rhythm on the bike. This is a very difficult and technical course, but it is also a beautiful course. As you head towards the first mile mark, you're going to go through a very beautiful stretch of road that runs right along the water at the base of the mountain. Not too many stretches of road like this. Of course, since this film was shot in the winter, the water is actually frozen. And there were ice houses out on the water. There are several very, very difficult hills on this course. The first of which will be coming up around the 2-mile mark. As we bear left here, we start the first tough hill on the course. This hill is not overly long, but it is very tough, and your heart rate, if it hasn't come down, it's going to get elevated right away. Your reward for getting over the top of this hill is a pretty lengthy downhill, which should help you recover. So throughout this part of the course, there are some short but tough uphills, followed by some pretty good downhills. First 5 miles of the course are pretty similar to this. Just one uphill followed by downhill, and it just continues. It's actually pretty fair through this part of the course. This is a very fast downhill. Okay, as we come up towards the center of town, we're going to take a sharp right near the country store, and then we're going to switch to North Shore Road. Now North Shore starts flat and then you actually have a pretty good downhill almost right away. But at this point in the course, conserve your energy because you are about to climb Devil's Hill, which is a very difficult hill. Every year you see people walking up this hill. It's not overly long, but it is very steep and a very, very difficult hill, especially if you're not prepared for it. And here comes the hill. Now the hill starts first with a short but not overly tough little rise right here. But that's not Devil's Hill. This is Devil's Hill. Very, very difficult hill. And then as you come up and over this, now you have a very fast downhill. And again, that's the technical side of this course. There are some very tough uphills and some very fast downhills with some tight roads. Definitely want to be comfortable with your bike on this course. To truly take advantage of this course, you really need to let it out on these downhills. Because you're going to lose some time on the uphills because they're tough. Now you start a very long, gradual uphill to 3A. Your legs will be screaming right about here. Then you take a very sharp right onto 3A. And you continue uphill. Now after you crest the top of this uphill, you will immediately go into a long downhill. The type of downhill where if you don't pedal, you'll be going about 30 miles an hour, maybe 32 miles an hour on this downhill. This is a nice long downhill. It gives you a chance to recover from those tough uphills that included Devil's Hill and the road that led up to 3A. Now as the road flattens out, you really need to take advantage of this section of the course. This part of 3A is rolling, but you'll be carrying a lot of speed into each of these hills. So these rolling hills will not feel as bad as they could. You really need to take advantage of this part of the course and maintain a high average speed. Just one rolling hill after another. Now there is one hill on 3A that is not a rolling hill. It's actually a pretty decent climb. And that's coming up right here. This is a long, slow uphill that will definitely test you a little bit. It's not overly steep, it's just a long, slow hill. Wide shoulder and good road conditions, but you just gotta grind it out. And as most hills that we've seen on Route 3A, you now go into a nice little downhill. And gives you a chance to make up some time again. There's a nice downhill, fast stretch of road. Here's the road bears to the left. A little bit of a tougher uphill here. Have to bear down on this uphill, but again, it's going to lead into another nice downhill. Okay, we're not going back to Wellington State Park right now. The road that heads towards it is on the right. We're going to blow past this. And this is a hill right here. But again, we'll have the downhill. And we're going to continue towards the center of town. Another nice downhill here. With the exception of that long hill, 3A is really a fair road where you can make up some time. We wind our way towards the center of town. Another really good downhill. Passing mile 15. Now as we head towards the center of town, the traffic will pick up, but this is actually a very fast part of the course. You'll be going over 20 miles an hour heading towards the center of town. This road's slightly downhill. Okay, you're going to be slowing down at this point as you're going to be taking a sharp right onto Route 104. Now, as you take the right on Route 104, you're immediately going to go into an uphill. Not overly tough, but it is a transition from the nice downhill stretch that you just had on 3A. This hill's pretty tough, but it's short. Now, Route 104 is not as forgiving as 3A. You definitely have more up than down. And there's actually a couple of very hard, slow climbs on this road that you just gotta slug out. This is a tough... Route 104 is not a great part of the course. Definitely some long, slow uphills that just seem to go on forever. But you do have a wide shoulder, and the road conditions are generally good. Just long, slow uphills like this one on Route 104. Like I said, you do have some downhills, but for some reason they seem to be a lot shorter than they were on 3A, and the abruptness of them heading back into the uphill seem to kill your speed. Tough uphill here. Just seems to never end. You're really exposed to the wind in this section as well, so hopefully it's not a windy day. Again, the hill just keeps on going. Finally, you get off Route 104, but you're immediately greeted with a short but, again, pretty tough uphill. On tired legs now. And there's some rough road on Cass Mill Road you want to look out for. Now, this is a very rolling terrain on this road, with some pretty sharp downs and some pretty sharp ups. No overly massive hills on this road. Just some pretty good downhills that help you roll right into the next uphill. Again, you want to be sure of your bike on this road, as it does wind and have some pretty good ups and downs, as you can see. This can be a very fun road to ride a bike on. As we pass through mile 22, and we're going to go into pretty good downhill. Okay, you want to take a hard right onto Washburn Road. A little bit of a rise here for another little downhill. Again, rolling terrain through this section. No overly large hills. Now, as you come through this section, it is a screaming downhill. And it's very tight and very winding. You got to really be in control of your bike through this section of road. And there is some rough road here too, so you could actually be going 35, 40 miles an hour going down that hill, and then you have to take that tight right turn, and this carry you, and your speed will carry you right through this section. Again, use caution through that section. Okay, now you're going to take a left. Nice winding left. I'm going to head up Again, rolling terrain continues. You're going to hit a little bit of a hill here. Okay, this part of the course is actually very fast. It flattens out for a section, and you can pick up some speed. You're going to bear to the right after the field. It's one of the few flat sections of the course. As we head up and over this small little rise, we're going to bear to the right, and then we're actually going to climb a pretty decent hill before we take a left and head back to the park. This is a pretty tough hill here. It is short, but it's steep. And then after you crest the top of it, you're going to have a nice little downhill that's going to be cut short as you have to take a hard left onto West Shore Road and head back to the park. But you are greeted with a nice downhill as soon as you take this left. And it's a pretty fast finish from here to the park. Mostly downhill. Okay, you're going to take a right into the park and head to transition. And again, hopefully there's no snow on June 2nd. Thank you for viewing the race at viewtherace.com.